Hail and well met, 'tis I Bard, pronouns they, them, and she, her, welcoming you once again to the Mad Realm. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks about how to utilize inspiration and where to gain inspiration for your artistic hobbies when it comes to painting miniatures. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, many people ask, where does one get inspired from? Because inspiration is a very nebulous concept, especially when it comes to art. If you are someone who is just new to the hobby or who is new to any form of really artistic endeavors, inspiration may seem to be this sort of magical force, right? It just pops up anywhere, but somehow, some way, it will appear and then disappear, and you'll get artist block and all this and that. But I'm here to tell you that inspiration, especially as it pertains to painting miniatures, is not only abundant wherever we look, but easily harnessable. Because unlike something like more traditional forms of art, where we have to take something from our imagination and create it, we already have the things created. We are painting miniatures, right? We've already had the hard work done for us. Now, we just have to figure out how we want to paint it. And if you're not going with the quote-unquote canonical, or otherwise known as box art color schemes, it may be a bit hard to think about ways you can fill in the blanks. Because between the building of that gray plastic to the primer to actually getting paint on the model, there are a lot of factors that go into consideration. Such as, do you want to paint each model in a unit individually? Do you want to paint each model as the same? Are you going to change up a color scheme here, a color scheme there, change a color? What do you do? And that is when you begin to try and find inspiration. Now, as I said, inspiration is a bit of a nebulous concept. It is seemingly everywhere, but it is also nowhere. We can't look back and find inspiration. It's not like citing a source where we can easily look back at something and say, this is what I intended. This is what I'm going to analyze. This is what I'm going to put forth in my paper. But there are a few tips and tricks that I have found from my own artistic journey to be able to help y'all. The first tip that I have is just take the world as it is. I've noticed many people, when they think about how the world can influence their art, don't take in consideration the world as it is. So, for example, if you are walking down the road and suddenly you see this craggy pothole, and there's just something about it that draws you in. It might be the texture, it might be the color, it might be just something. That is inspiration. It is drawing you in. You are responding to it. In art, response to something is inspiration. It is looking at a piece of the world and saying, I can utilize this. I can sympathize, empathize with it. I can find a connection that I want to incorporate into my work or my emotions. And you do that not by thinking what something means, because that will always pop in. But you look at it and say, do I like it aesthetically? And by just looking at the world, face value, that is how you can get your inspiration. Humans are a very aesthetic species. It is one of the things that defines us as human. And so if it exists, it is because someone was inspired to make it, and they were probably inspired by something else. And thus, with that, it's this long line of descent of inspiration from looking around them to the final product. And you are just another step in this beautiful cycle of creation and art that defines humanity. Another tip that I have is, once you get something to inspire you, once you find that metaphorical pothole, when you find some color or some, even an event or a person or animal or thing, just whatever you respond well to, positively to, follow it. It doesn't have to be hard to find inspiration. If something inspires you, you will respond to it. And you'll keep responding positively to it. Once you respond to something negatively, when you say, oh, I don't like that, or I'm not really, vibing with this one specific aspect, ask yourself, why don't you? And then move on. Find something that you continuously respond positively to. And if you respond to one specific aspect positively, incorporate that. Take it for your own. The phrase, the best artists borrow, or the best artists steal in a more negative connotation, is true. Because humans look at things and we say, I like it so much, I want it for myself. And so we create it in ways that we like. And we will keep creating things the more we find new things to inspire us. Now, just a few things that may be able to, get the train going, get the ball rolling of things you respond positively to are these specific, also sort of non-specific things that I have found work well with me. The first is to watch a movie, or even to look at cards. When we watch a piece of media, if we like it, we will continuously rewatch it. The same goes for all the other things I'm going to talk about. If we like it, we will continue interacting with it. And to gain your inspiration from that, ask, why do you like it? For us as miniature painters, it's probably the aesthetic and also the story of the miniatures. We might not really like the miniatures. We might want to change them up. But if you like a faction because of what it represents or what it does, rather than what it looks like, you have complete freedom to use other models and to help represent it and create what you want on the tabletop. You are not restricted by what other people dictate. Furthermore, if you listen to music, which we are all human, so yeah, you probably do listen to music, then that can help as well. Because if we're going to be honest, haven't we all had that fantasy where we listen to a song and then imagine ourselves or created characters in these different scenarios? We've all done it. It's okay, this is a safe space. You can admit it. I do it all the time. If a song is interrupted, I have to start it from the beginning so that the scenario can happen because I'm that person. I'm like a weird director in my brain skull with music. And I'm sure you are too. Furthermore, some things, such as books, are also a pleasure to look at, especially if it is a art book or a RPG book or just any book with pictures in it. Mostly because these two can be sources of inspiration as it pertains to aesthetics. You might flip through a monster manual and say, I respond well to the way a beholder looks. And you might want to change the way your minis look to fit that inspiration. That is thematic armies, that's thematic minis, just as a whole. It's where that comes from, right? And once again, if you respond well to it, mold the world to be your oyster. And just eat it. Just eat that creativity. And lastly, for this short little bit, once you have the thing you respond well to, once you have your inspiration, I would recommend getting a journal. I personally have 2 journals for this. More specifically for miniature painting. I have my sketchbook, where if I think of a miniature, then I sketch it down. I make a quick little drawing so that later on when I do create it, I can think, what's an aspect I like, what's an aspect I don't like, how do I change it, how do I keep it the same. That way, when you go to the desk, you, like me, aren't trying to remember things. You have your thoughts at that moment there. You've had time to simmer. You've had other influences come in, and you can change it to be the most ideal form. And I also have the same thing, but for painting. If I think of a paint scheme, I'll write down what mini I want to put it on, if there is any, and I'll think of paints and the way paints interact and what I want to see on a miniature. Like I said, for us, we have the easy part. We just paint this stuff. This Vanguard that I'm painting right here. Now, I could have gone with the Games Workshop color schemes, but I didn't respond too well to it. It's wonderful, yes, but for me, it just didn't work well. So I looked around. I thought, what would be something cool to see? Thinking of an icy theme, but with maybe warm armor. I drew inspiration from a number of different art books and from movies and magic cards, and I just said, I'm going to take the parts I like from each and make it into one. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll just edit it. And lastly, the other thing that I think we all do at some point is just rifling through your paints. We all have a innumerable hoard of paints. I know we do. Unless you are painting one specific army for all of your life, you will have a multitude of different paints. So go ahead, experiment with it. If something inspires you, paint it. If a color really speaks to you, put it onto a mini. See how it interacts with other things. Learn your paints, because they too can be a source of inspiration. With that, I hope that you all have a glorious day. I hope that my tips and knowledge help you in some fashion or another. And thus, with that, I hope you all have a lovely day and may chaos reign. Bye-bye.